And we are live. What's good, people? It's your man DL saying welcome to I Really Want to Know podcast. How y'all feeling out there? I hope all is well out there. Happy Thursday. Yeah, looks like y'all know Uncle Saint don't know what day it is sometimes. And I think it was yesterday. I had my days mixed up on the first show. But yeah, it's definitely Thursday, eh? And tomorrow is definitely Friday, and I'm looking forward to that. I hope y'all are well. I hope all is well out there. I hope everything is going the way it's supposed to go. Almost 2.5 months into 2023, y'all. Right? Think about that. We're 9 days into February, man. So it's only 28 days in this month. Y'all know what it is. They gave us Black History Month, the shortest month of the year. I'm sure y'all have heard that a lot. It is what it is, man. At least we got a month. Sister Candace is in the house. What's good, love? How you doing? Pleasure to see you. Someone gave me a message that the horns are too loud, so I gotta manually control the volume on that, y'all, because I do realize it's kind of loud, because I do go back and I listen and I watch the videos, and I also listen to the messages. Like when I get comments, please keep comments coming. Let me know. You know what I mean? Things I could do better. If things are too loud, if things aren't loud enough, tell me, because it's a one-man show right here. And now I know why Kevin Samuels will always say that, like, hey, just a one-man show here. I get it. It's a lot. And the more equipment you add, the more things you want to do. Like, I have this Stream Deck, right? The Stream Deck is cool because you could just press a button and you can, like, it helps with your sound effects and stuff like that. That's what you see. Myron Gaines uses that. Most creators, I think, that have sound effects, they run it through a Stream Deck. I also have on a Rodecaster Pro buttons I can hit for the sound effects. So it's like, I got a piece of equipment that I have to integrate into the system, and I need more room on the desk, and I need this and I need that. So in Hollywood, it's easy. You just tell the people what you want, and you go have a coffee or get a Dr. Pepper or something, eat an apple, come back, and it's all there. That's Hollywood. And I haven't reached that level yet, y'all. I haven't reached that level. So shout out to you, Sister Candace. Always a pleasure. I hope all is well on your end. I watched the Fresh and Fit early show yesterday. They were talking about Valentine's Day and buying gifts and relationships and stuff like that. One of the better episodes. They really got into it when they were talking about, how women feel about their dudes, and, women who don't buy you gifts, guys. Women who don't really care necessarily about you as far as caters to your needs and stuff like that. Maybe they're not into you. Sister Candace, did you see that episode? I thought that was a pretty good episode. I went over after I finished up. I thought that was a pretty good episode. They were also talking about why they're not going to Colombia. They were planning to go to Colombia to kick it with their dude Casey, and it's a whole bunch of stuff going on in Colombia right now. Not a good time for Americans to go down there. Not a good time for gringos to go down there. We know on this platform, one of the reasons why is because you got these simpletons going down there, deleting people and shoving them in suitcases. So, we covered Valentina's story. We've done 2 shows on her story, tragic story. And that's one reason that's Bogota, but there's also a lot going on in Medellin, Cali, Cartagena, all over. Basically, like Myron Gaines said, shout out to Myron and Fresh and the whole team over there. He's like, you got these simps going down there messing it up for everybody else. and me and my buddy Perry saw that coming. We saw that coming years ago. Like, man, these dudes going to go down there and they're going to wreck it. They're just going to go down there. They don't know what they're doing. They're going to lose control. They're going to wreck it. They're going to go down there being Americans, not respecting the culture, not enjoying, the full experience. They just going down there to try to get some Foxy Brown. They're going to mess it up, and that's exactly what they did. You know what I mean? That's exactly what they did. Brother Doug's in the house. What's good, fam? How you feeling? Always good to see you, bro. We're going to be talking some AI, some Deepfake, man. We got Brother Heyoka standing by on Ready 6. You know what I mean? So when we get into it, we're going to be able to bring him up and get some real good insight from Brother Heyoka. So glad he's here with us today. Sister Candace, Brother DL, I was watching yesterday and agree it was a good show. I thought it was. Oh, my cousin's up in the house, man. Oh, what's good, cuzzo? Hey, man, me and Perry was on there talking about Medellin, man, yesterday, bro. You got to check that out, man. You got to check that out, bro. How come you ain't in the gym, cuzzo? I know my cousin, man, he stayed in the gym, y'all. Like, I don't like Cincinnati. I love Cincinnati because that's where I'm from, but I ain't trying to live there. It gets too cold. But I do miss being with my family, man, especially my cousins, man, especially my cousin. Oh, if I was with him, I wouldn't be allowed to be lazy and not go to the gym, which I'm about to break that right now, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. Life gets to us all. Melanie King was talking about here recently, you know, she disappeared from YouTube for a few months. And when she came back, she said the reason she disappeared was, you know, she was going, you know, she had to deal with a bout of depression. And you look at someone like Mel King, you know, he's a beautiful woman, successful. She's a mom, you know what I mean? She's, you know, she's got it all going, you know what I mean? Got a ton of clout, you know, successful in all different realms, many different realms, I should say. But here she is, like, depressed. And I'm telling you, man, life could come at you hard, y'all. It could come at you hard. And it's like what Brother Andrew Tate was saying, man, when he was like, depression isn't real. And what he, you know, what I took away from that message, because I agree with him. He's like, when you feel it coming, you can lay down and curl up into a ball and wish yourself to go away or something like that. Or you can step up, man up, woman up, and just push through it. And like I said, it comes for all of us, man. So I'm about to get back into the gym. I'm about to stay focused, man. Like I was saying a couple shows ago, you know what I mean? Chase excellence. You can chase excellence or you can chase women. You can't do both. Shout out to Rich Cooper. You should chase excellence as men. You should chase excellence. Become the best version of yourself. And that's what I'm going to start doing. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm about to start doing. My cousin's like working out, looking at the show. That's what's up. Yeah, do a couple extra reps for me. You know what I mean? Do an extra set for the show, bro, because I'm going to hit the gym tomorrow. I'm going to hit the gym. I'm going to start walking more again and get out there, walk, run, start cooking, you know, and taking care of my body, man. And just, I'm going to stay focused. I got to chase excellence. I got to get it together, because if I don't, I will crumble. You know what I mean? So take heed, people out there. It comes for us all, man. When it comes, either you can step up or you get ran over. I'm about to step up. You know what I mean? We're not going to get into details as to why, like, oh, no, dear, what's going on? It sounds like it's bad. Listen, I got a great life. You know what I mean? I got a great life. Ask my cousin, especially considering where we came from and what we've been through. I got a great life. But you still got to work. You still got to push hard. You got to push through. You got to deal with the BS, man. You got to deal with it. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. And in my life, I take responsibility for everything that goes on in my life, the good, the bad, and the horrific. I suggest y'all do the same. So there's people like to be victims. I'm not a victim. Whatever I'm dealing with is because of me. And I'm just going to deal with it. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to deal with it because that's how we get down. So, yeah, I got my cousin up on here. I'm feeling good right now. Got my family in the house. Now I really got to sit up right and do the show perfectly. You know what I mean? Because if I don't, he's going to be talking about me, going to tell the rest of the family. It's going to be a problem, man. It's going to be a problem if I don't, you know what I'm saying? If I don't show and prove. So here we go, man. Let's talk about what we came here to talk about today, man. Artificial intelligence, deep fakes. It's here, y'all. It's here. You know what I mean? And it's a couple videos. We got one video and we have one article I want to cover, and I'm going to bring Brother Heyoka up so we can really get into it. But this is going to require a lot of thoughts. A lot of thought, man. What we're about to do is going to require everybody to put it through the old
think tank. Arch, nothing gets past the old think tank. Nothing.
We got to put this through the think tank, and we have to really consider what's going on. The world as we know it has completely changed. And we're going to start with this video, man, because it's fake stuff, bro. I'm telling you. I'm just a regular dude. I'm no longer criminal minded, but boy, oh boy, do I see opportunities here if one were to have that mindset. It's crazy out here, y'all. So I found a video on Zaba Labs, Z-A-B-A Labs, right? This is a YouTube channel. They have about 195 subscribers, so it looks like they're fairly new. But this particular video we watched has 13,000 views, which is a lot, and 426 likes. Do me a favor, y'all. Like, check this out. I'm gonna put the link to this channel. I'm just gonna put it in the chat, y'all, so y'all can check it out. Because this, I'm gonna keep coming back to this. I subscribed. I just kind of stumbled onto it. It came up on my feed as I was looking for AI stuff. This came up. It's about 9 minutes. I want to play this video so we can react to it. You know, of course, fair use. And this is a this is a young channel, but they got some good information. some real good information. I thought this video was amazing, by the way. So, you know, hey, do me a favor, y'all. Like when y'all get some time later, play this video. It's only like 10 minutes. Play the video, check it out, give it a like, maybe even subscribe. I will subscribe to this channel so they can grow, because I know it took some time. The production value on this thing is unreal. And we got Brother Dusto in the house, man. The Dustosphere is here. What's good, bro? How you feeling? Good to see you. Good to see you. So let's get into this video, man. The video is talking about where Deepfake is today and what's going on. Hey, y'all, pay close attention to this, man. Let's check this out. Let me pull this up so y'all can see it. And let's run this video. Here we go.
This is a live deepfake of Simon Cowell on our, and here's Simon reacting to himself. This performance uses real-time deepfake to not only swap the singer's face with Simon's, but it also alters Simon's face to portray a younger version of himself. This technology is created by Metaphysic, an artificial intelligence company focusing on AI content generation tools and infrastructure. You may have already seen some of their other work. They are partnered with the popular TikTok account Deep Tom Cruise. This seemingly real account portrays actor Tom Cruise in various real-life scenarios. The deepfake is so perfect, it's virtually impossible to tell that it's not really Tom Cruise. So how can we get even crazier with this tech? Well, if you pair Metaphysic with a synthetic voice startup called Respeecher, you can get some insane results. Respeecher is a voice cloning tool that essentially creates deepfake audio. In the latest season of...
So think about that for a moment. Artificial intelligence, our computers are advanced enough now to recreate anyone, dead or alive. They can recreate and make a video of anyone. Okay, that's one thing. You know, okay, how much harm can we do with that? You know what I mean? Even if you made like a hologram or something like that, it's still not me. You know what I mean? We haven't reached a point where it's like Mission Impossible and you making fake skin and you can like actually put my face on your face and turn it to me like in Mission Impossible. We're not right there yet. So I'm not too worried about that. You know what I mean? But now there's programs out there where, okay, now we can take your voice. We can take your voice and recreate that. Now that's a problem. You feel me? That's a problem, y'all. Oh, you can take my voice and call my financial institution, call my job, call my significant other, call my children. You know what I mean? Call my family with my voice. That's a problem. You know what I mean? That's a problem for all of us. Like, okay, your image, that's a problem for people who make money off their image. That thing with Tom Cruise, that TikTok account, the people who made that account reached out to Tom Cruise's agency, sent an email, say, hey, this is what we're going to do. If you guys have a problem with it, tell us now and we'll remove it. The agency never got back to him. So they did a few more and then they sent another email saying, hey, did you get our previous email? We're doing this thing. And then they responded, their response was something along the lines of, yes, we saw that email. And then that was it. So they, you know, so Tom Cruise didn't give his consent, but he didn't say don't do it. You know what I mean? They're in that legal gray space. Like we know it's out there. And apparently I've never seen it because I don't do TikTok. I know how I feel about TikTok, man. I'm not having a Chinese Communist Party coming in looking at what I do. You know what I mean? But if y'all want to do it, that's on you. But apparently this is a very popular TikTok account. And it just has, you know, they use an actor doing the stuff and then they use the program to put Tom Cruise's face there and I guess his voice. Maybe the actor does a pretty good Tom Cruise, so maybe they're not using the software to use his voice. But that voice stuff, man, I mean, you could call up your bank with someone else's voice. And if you have account information or it's like, oh, I forgot, can we reset it? If you know what I mean? That changes everything. That makes it really tough, y'all. But let's continue the video.
AGT, Metaphysic used Respeecher to enhance the voice and audio during the live deepfake of the famous rock and roll king, Elvis Presley. And
that was crazy. That scene had all the people from America, I guess that's American Idol or whatever show that is, or America's Got Talent. And they had Elvis Presley on stage all singing, and it was all faked, the whole thing. That's crazy.
In addition, Simon Cowell was deepfaked once again. with the addition of Heidi Klum and Sofia Vergara faked as background singers. What's mind-blowing about this is that it's happening in real time with such quality and accuracy. So how is a deepfake different from a face swap filter like on Snapchat or TikTok? Before I explain, please like the video to feed the almighty algorithm. To put it simply, deepfakes are harder to make but end up looking better overall. Face swaps are quick and easy but don't look too convincing. Deepfakes are typically trained via machine learning models. Essentially, you feed an algorithm a ton of images of human faces so it can first learn what faces are, how they move, and what they look like at different angles. Next, you would feed images of a specific face that you want to deepfake, and it will learn how that face looks and moves. You can then superimpose that face onto another person with some editing. And usually the more time you give the algorithm to learn, the better the deepfake will end up looking. Face swap filters, on the other hand.
So we're taking artificial intelligence, the computer, we are feeding it live information, real-time information. We're feeding it. It's learning, and then it's creating. Man, I mean, to a point where you can't tell now. I've actually gone to a bunch of sites, and I would, look at some deep fakes, like, they show you both images and you got to pick which one is real and which one's the deep fake. And I could 50% of the time I was wrong. So the computers today are that good that you can't tell today what is it going to be like a decade from now. Yo, this is some crazy stuff. It's crazy stuff. Sister Candace, those Andrew Tate audio recordings come to mind. Exactly. They can, that audio is scary. That audio is real scary. And the fact that they can deep fake video, right? People looking at, oh, we're having fun, but they can deep fake video. They can deep fake you committing a crime and also have your voice. They can deep fake you doing horrific stuff. They can, they can deep fake you doing, like supporting people. They can deep fake you supporting some bad people or something like that. This is where we're going. This is crazy stuff, y'all. Lady in the voice in the house, what's good, love? How you feeling? Good to see you. Always good to see you. I hope you are well. But let's continue the video, man. I hope y'all paying attention. This is crazy.
And use a geometric face mesh to copy and paste one person's face onto another. An algorithm recognizes key points on a face and creates a virtual mesh grid on top of it. It can then recognize the same points on two different faces, swap them with one another, and then add some blending and feathering to help it match. Metaphysic most likely used a combination of the two methods by training an algorithm on both the singer and Elvis's face beforehand, and then using face swap technology to make it happen live. I'm sure they also carefully choreographed the routine to make sure the face was always in the correct position on camera, things didn't get out of whack. The key thing to note is that deepfakes and face swaps have previously been used separately, with deepfakes being manually edited into pre-existing videos, and face swaps happening live through apps like Instagram and Snapchat. But now the technology has advanced to the point where deepfakes and face swaps can be used together to create a near-perfect counterfeit of a live person.
I mean, I'm looking at that picture of Simon, and yeah, I mean, when you really study it and look at it, like, it doesn't quite look right. But at a glance, I'm like, oh, that's Simon, he's singing. You know what I mean? And again, this is early on. The computers are only going to continue to learn and improve on their own work. So pretty soon, we talk about like with the Tate brothers, and we talk about all these other countries. Like you talk about, how the legal system works in Romania, and you talk about what's going on, with some other countries in their legal system, like Greece or France, Colombia. It is what it is. But here, deep fakes that can be enough to get you stuck in jail without bond, if the deep fake is good enough. And I wonder if can they tell it's deep fake? Can you tell the AI has something to do with it? Like forensically? I mean, it almost takes away, video evidence, which is dangerous in itself. I mean, we got Brother Marcus in the house. What's good? My favorite devil dog is here. You know what I mean? Always a pleasure to see you, bro. You know what I mean? Oh wait, let me speak in Marine because he might not understand. Rah, 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 rah. Hi. Rah, 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 rah. Good to see you. That's Marine talk, y'all. But let's continue.
Like most technology, it can be used for both good and evil, which means I have some good news and some bad news in that order. Before I get into how this technology can be even more entertaining and solve problems, please subscribe because more crazy AI videos are on the way. The deepfakes you commonly see circulating around the internet are mostly for parody and
I wanted to stop the video right there. Right, look at this. These are both deep fakes. Jordan Peele, I think that's Jordan Peele, and President Obama. These are both deep fakes. That looks completely real. You know what I mean? When you look at Jordan Peele's eyes, like, no, look at his eyes, man. It don't look right. That dude don't look right in his eyes, man. He's Hollywood. They all got that look. That's there. When you make a deal with the devil, your eyes wind up looking like that. That's all I'm saying about that. That's why I had to get up out of LA. You know what I mean? But bro, that looks real. Look at that. That looks real. That looks real. Let's continue.
humor. One notable channel is Control Shift Face on YouTube. This channel deepfakes various celebrities into famous movie clips, like this Terminator scene with Jim Carrey, Brad Pitt, and Sylvester Stallone as Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Arnold as one of the punks. Deepfakes will be used more commonly in movies and TV to portray actors as younger versions of themselves, like LeBron James, or even include deceased actors like in recent Star Wars films. Deepfakes could be used to create virtual reality experiences that are used in therapy to help people confront their fears or overcome phobias. If you
they're using it in therapy. They're using deepfake technology to help people. They're using deepfake technology to entertain people. I'm pretty sure that the military is going to use it for training applications and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure NASA is going to use it for the same thing, right? Deepfakes are becoming the way.
combine deepfakes and ChatGPT, this could allow for some interesting results. Imagine if you could speak with a dead relative, and they would talk and sound exactly like they used to. It could also be possible to change their age, so you could potentially talk to your grandparent when they were in their teenage years. This would require a decent amount of source material of them at all ages, but with smartphones nowadays, people have a lot of photo and video of themselves as well as their kids. So
hold on, they're talking about you can deepfake your relatives, your long lost relatives, those who passed on. Man, I don't know, bro. I don't know. This is starting to sound awfully Matrixy to me. One of the things that I always ask people when I had these conversations, I ask about, a supercomputer, a computer that's massive enough that you can download your essence into the computer. Basically, the computer would map your brain and everything, because it's all, electricity and stuff like that. Anyway, they can, like, if a computer could put you in the mainframe, put you inside the computer like the movie Tron, and you still have your real organic person on the outside, but inside, it just every night you download your experiences into the computer to kind of upload your virtual self. Would you, in fact, then be able to exist as long as that supercomputer is working? Wouldn't you then be able to continue to exist in a computer-generated world? And if that's the case, if that could be done, has it already been done? Which leads us back to the whole Matrix thing. Are we in the Matrix? Is this a simulation? Are you organically gone? Like you've let's say you lived 1,000 years ago and you just decided, I want to stay in this existence, in this era, as I'm, moving around and existing inside of this super gigantic computer. Food for thought, y'all. Let's continue watching.
This is a more likely scenario to be possible for the next generation. Deepfakes are currently being used by a news station in South Korea. The news outlet created a deepfake version of their real news anchor named Kim Joo-ha. They stated they might continue to use the deepfake for some breaking news reports, or possibly at times when the news anchor isn't available, like late at night. And this is where things start to get a little bit gray. So deepfakes have mostly been used for entertainment, with no major negative societal consequences or reactions. The real question is, how much mayhem can deepfakes cause? Do they
A ton of mayhem, first of all. Secondly, does that reporter, Sister Kim Yu-ha, does she get paid when they use her image to cover a story while she's sleeping? Man, oh man, like, yo, this is getting crazy. Now it's time for me to bring in the heavy guns, man. Let's bring up Brother Heyoka, man. I gotta get him involved. Brother Heyoka, you there, man?
Yeah, how are you?
I'm all right, bro. How you doing? Thanks for hanging out, waiting for me, man. I know I was like, let me run through this. I didn't even get to the article yet. We'll cover that as we get going, man. And I know you was sitting back there watching all this, bro. First of all, tell everybody who you are and what are your thoughts on this subject, bro.
First, hello to the chat. Just brother Heyoka. Let's see. My thoughts on it. Deepfakes have a lot of potential for therapy, but deepfakes can potentially even bring down governments. The rationale being is that if the country is heavily enmeshed within the internet, the way I see it is that you can, right now in the States, subliminal programming has been outlawed. You can't do it. Okay, even though they know that it has an effect. If you were to do a deep fake with a subliminal programming built into it, then that could affect the populace. Because even though they know that it's a fake, the subliminal programming within it, they wouldn't necessarily filter for. And so what happens is that think about it, you were talking about military applications, to give an example earlier. And it's just funny in the sense of saying that you could be a patriot for your country, and they could use, let's say, a virtual reality goggle along with a mesh on your body to stimulate the effect or of giving you motions that you're doing while you're looking at the video in your head and hearing the words of what you think is that it's a fake. And you know that it's an image of you doing something because you know that it's a fake. But your mind doesn't know the difference. People don't realize that. Whenever you see an image in your mind, whenever you have a dream, your mind doesn't know the difference. It doesn't make a distinction.
And technology exists today that they can connect you, via different medical tech to that computer. So you're actually sitting there, but you're moving around within that system without using your own arms and legs. And the computer is just basically getting the brain waves. You sending a signal to your arm, to your legs, or whatever to do whatever. The computer intercepts that and does it on the screen, which is what you're talking about.
And that it's such, the technology is such that when we look at technology, we think that this is what they're capable of today. Failing to realize that the technology that you're looking at is roughly 50 years old, at least that. So whenever you're looking at these technologies, they're behind the times. I didn't even cover. You spoke about deepfakes and the AI. The AIs are such that if you can predict what the leader of a country will do and limit their options, you should be able to some degree calculate what the probability of what they're going to do. In which case, militarily gives you an advantage because you already know what's probably going to be said before it even comes out.
Well, you know what to watch. You know how to better utilize your assets. Like, well, there's a 95% probability that they're going to mobilize these units which are stationed in this part of their country. Well, we can focus our intel on that. Oh, yep, they're mobilizing. Yep, we see them come. So that really, you're right. That changes the way it does. So here's a part of the video we're going to play when they're talking about, I guess they have Zelensky in some sort of deep fake. And let's listen to what they have to say about this, because I didn't get to catch this part earlier. I want to listen to what they have to say, which is kind of along the lines of what we're discussing right now.
They have the potential to instigate World War III, perhaps a deep fake of a powerful nation declaring an invasion on a neighboring country. Attempts to distort messages take things out of context, or fabricate fake events to serve malicious motives can quickly mislead people and stir mass reactions.
And it is something else people need to understand too when it comes to this sort of thing. And like in World War II, or since technology has been kind of modern in the way we know it, when you broadcast a speech or you make a speech, there are assets watching, and they're listening for words, phrases, and they're looking at what you do. So if the goal signal is you adjusting your glasses, it could be that subtle. You adjusting your glasses could be the goal signal to some covert team to attack. You know what I mean? You taking your glasses off and putting them in your pocket could be the signal to stand down.
Brother DL.
Go ahead.
Do you remember during, I think it either was Iran-Contra when they took hostages, or even Gary Powers. They were using Morse code to the blinking.
Yep. That's the thing.
So that's kind of what you're referring to. Just certain signals, yes.
Now, if your enemy or people who don't like you, bad actors, if they intercept these signals, if they intercept the package where it states, okay, here are the signals, this is what we're gonna do. Because even if you're blinking Morse code, you have to know the code within the code, so to speak. So if they intercept that information, they could deepfake the rest, and they can get you to either strike or stand down, depending on what their goals are. And it can mess up everything. It will throw the military in confusion. Like, well, that was the go. That was the go signal. Yeah, but it was an intercept. So this is a problem. You know what I mean? And if it were a voice go, like a word, you got that AI that can deepfake your voice. Man, this is crazy, bro. Like I don't know how I feel about this. But let's continue with the video. We got a couple more minutes. I just want to watch a little bit more of the dangers of deepfake, and then we'll move on.
Less obvious repercussions revolve around the growing distrust for media content and development of fake news. People already think of TV and the internet as agents of mind control and mediums for spreading lies. So repeated exposure to deepfakes may eventually numb people into indifference, as it becomes more difficult to tell what's real and what's not. As a result, people could strategically exploit this weakness to stir doubt about actual events. Unfortunately, the dark side of deepfake content is abundant on the internet. A large amount of fake media produced and consumed online is deepfake porn, with the stolen faces of famous actresses, models, and online personalities. People will likely continue to weaponize deepfakes to commit cyberbullying and cybercrime, like phishing, identity theft, and spoofing, manipulate politics, influence voter decisions, create misinformation campaigns, and manipulate stock prices, and even blackmail or create revenge porn. I think manipulation of news, misinformation, and politics are seemingly the most dangerous implications of deepfakes. These have the potential to cause civil unrest or worse. So how can we detect deep?
So before we get into detection of deepfake, everything that this brother said in that portion of this video, I agree with wholeheartedly. That is how serious deepfake is. If we were to wake up tomorrow to a news conference, a press conference from the White House, with the President of the United States, Joe Biden, announcing that China has attacked Taiwan and America is responding, what would that do to the stock market? What would that do to Americans? Like, they're fearing. What would that do to innocent Chinese Americans walking around? Right? What kind of chaos could that, initiate?
Well,
go ahead.
One of the things that you pointed out, like within your statement, intrinsic, you said, well, what would it do to the stock market? Well, if you were prepared for it, then what happens is you could make a lot of money off the stock market.
Ton of money.
Because people would be, let's say, people don't like an unstable situation, so they tend to dump their money. They tend to dump their stocks. So what happens is stock market goes down, people make money. So there is an incentive. Charlie Munger always says, he says, show me the incentive and I'll show you the outcome. There's an incentive for people to do deep fakes, let alone the targeting of an individual to make them do something that they might not otherwise. You know, there's a thing called the Mandela effect where people misremember. They say, well, it went this way or that way. And because our memories are not generally trained, we can misremember. Now, add in deep fake, where you think you saw something or an image is shown of you doing something, and you might not, you recognize it as your own, as you, but it's misremembered, but it's also deep faked. Between the two of them, you might you couldn't even give a proper testimony as to what you did.
Yeah, that can destroy whatever case or whatever strategy. Let's say you're in court and your attorney has the strategy, and okay, let's say you have two cars. You have a blue car and you have a silver car. And your testimony has been, I was in my silver car. And then the prosecution shows a deep fake of you clearly in the blue car. And people might think, well, come on, DL, man, what does that mean? So what? You misremembered. Well, these two cars are very different. They're very different cars. One's a Mercedes, the other's a Chevy. How could you? Was he lying then or is he lying now? You see what I mean? Now you done peppered in enough doubt. So I don't know. We might have to discard all of your testimony, and you being the key witness. Boom. Yeah. Someone walks or someone doesn't walk. You know what I mean? So, man, that is some crazy stuff. It's just a couple more minutes on this particular video, and they're about to get into how to detect deep fakes. So let's continue, and we'll finish up this video, man, and then I'll drop the link too, see if anybody wants to jump up and talk with us before we read the because we're gonna talk about that article of the deep fake voice and the rich man. So let's continue, and we'll get to that in a second.
Deepfakes. Is there a foolproof way? The short answer is no, not at the moment. But here's some tricks to keep in mind. For the time being, the easiest way to spot deepfakes is to look closely for any auditory flaws, misplaced shadows, patchy skin tones, and flickering around certain areas during movement. Areas to watch are the forehead, neck, and especially the mouth. No matter how smoothly someone renders a fake, most of the time you can detect media manipulation if you know what to look for. MIT has created the Detect Fakes website, a research project designed to help identify techniques to counteract AI-generated misinformation. Another company, Kaggle, started a competition with $1 million reward for the team that could create the best deepfake detection algorithm. There are many companies developing their own software to detect deepfakes. This could be a lucrative field in the near future. If creating deepfakes with AI is as easy as hitting a button, the internet will soon become flooded with fakes of all kinds. Although it is possible that major media sites like YouTube, Twitter, and TikTok may have their own detection algorithms and provide a disclaimer on videos that are determined to be fake if or when this becomes a huge problem. Have you seen a deepfake that blew your mind or totally fooled you? Share it with me in the comments and let me know your thoughts on deepfakes. Given its ability to create synthetic media, deepfake technology can be a gnarly tool in the hands of malicious actors. There's always the fear of people using a convincing deepfake to perpetuate political agendas like smear or misinformation campaigns and spread fake news. However, I believe it's created with good intentions will far outweigh the negative, and technology to detect deepfakes will likely progress just as fast, if not faster, than deepfakes themselves. Above all, the most important lesson about deepfakes is that we humans hold the key to the truth. MIT said it well. Rather than fine-tune the best machine learning model for this deepfake detection competition, we are curious about strategies and techniques for building public awareness of deepfake technology and helping ordinary people think critically about the media that they consume. As AI advances and deepfakes become better at deception, at least one thing remains true. You can't trust everything you see on the internet.
That was fire. That was fire. So right off rip, he's like, nah, you can't really detect deepfakes, but they're working on it. If I had a couple dollars lying around, I know where I would put it. That's not a financial advice or anything like that. I'm just saying the ability to determine if something is deep fake or real is that business is going to be a much needed business in the future. So, man, I'm gonna have to look into that. I'm gonna reach out to this guy on this platform to see if I can't get him over here. I got a ton of questions for that guy. So, what are your thoughts on that, brother Heyoka?
Another issue is kind of like that could even break up your relationship, in the sense that how they were what is it? It's called cheaters. Okay.
Yeah.
Somebody can send you a deep fake of someone that you care about in order to break up your relationship.
Yeah, you walk through the park with somebody you don't even know.
Yeah, and the thing about it is like this: is that they just might have the image. They don't. And the thing about it is, or the problem is that primarily what we use is our primary senses are visual, audio, and kinesthetic, how we touch. If the two, the visual and the audio, sync up, as in a deep fake, the problem you face is that the other person, you could do a whole deep fake where I could say, well, something, this is what Brother DL is going to say next. This is why he's going to say it. And so when you go to defend yourself, I've already preempted that argument. And here's the video to go along with it. And so the thing about it is that not only you figure like this, if you're very religious, okay, it could potentially affect you in the sense that the leader of your group, okay, can be deep faked in such a way that you say, well, wait a minute, really, they're just in it for the money. They're not. This is all propaganda that has been given to me, which can shake you to your core as to what you believe.
Yeah, if you're trying to be the leader of your Muslim group, for instance, you're trying to be the leader of your Muslim group, and I got a deep fake of you eating a ham and bacon sandwich.
Yeah,
he ain't a good Muslim. You know what I mean? He's drinking like smoking some weed and hanging out with a bunch of women. Like he ain't no. I should be the leader.
Or you're looking at this, and then they patch in the audio and say, yeah, well, I tell them that so that they listen to this, so that they do this. It's not real anyway. By that time, what happens is you've listened to this person, let's say for 10 years, and then you find out that really it was all just a scam. That can ruin your life. It can literally, because it's going into your core beliefs. And so you've not only lost faith in the person, you've lost faith in yourself. You say, how could I have been duped for 10 years by this person? Now, what happens is that might open you up to other things, in the sense of saying, now you could be manipulated, let's say, into being an assassin or something like that.
Right.
Or because now you're so silent.
Yeah, they can control you. We got Nights in the house. What's good, fam? Always a pleasure to see you. Always a pleasure. I'm so glad you're here. We're talking about deep fakes and artificial intelligence. So here's another thing. Before we drop the link, I think we'll go with this first before we drop the link. This article, Brother Heyoka was talking to me about this not long ago. And this is from Forbes. Fraudsters clone company director's voice in a $35 million bank heist. $35 million because they deep faked his voice and was able to get access to accounts and have, I guess they had, people move money because they thought it was for this guy. So you know a little bit about this story, don't you, Brother Heyoka?
Yeah, what they did was they attempted to get $35 million. They had already, in 2014, they had already gotten like over $200,000. They tried to get $35 million, but they were unsuccessful in doing it. But if you think about it, it's kind of like everything that we do, it could even make it so suspect that the person that you're talking on the phone with might not be the person that you're talking to.
Yeah, and here's the thing though, because they say this was early 2020. A bank manager in Hong Kong received a call from a man's voice whom he recognized. The director at the company with whom he had spoken to before. The director had good news. His company was about to make an acquisition, so he needed the bank to authorize some transfers to the tune of $35 million. And then a lawyer named Martin Zellner had been hired to coordinate the procedure, and the bank manager could see in the inbox the emails were from the director, and Zellner confirming that the money needed to be moved. The bank manager, believing everything appeared legitimate, began making the transfer. So that's crazy. Just based on the voice and probably what they hacked an account, they hacked the email, so they were able to send an email.
Mm-hmm.
That is crazy. So yeah, they were. Let's see, the Americans investigated help trace it. So yeah, it looks like they got the money, and then they just the rest of the world got involved and tried to get the money back.
Okay.
So they were trying to get the money back. But that's insane. Like, I gotta drop this in the link so y'all can read this, y'all. I'm not gonna read the whole thing. I'm just gonna drop it in the chat so y'all can read this. And it's Forbes. They'll let you read up to 4 articles without charging or trying to get you to buy a subscription. So check that article out, y'all. Wonderful 34 is in the house. What's good, fam? Always good to see you. You know, thank you so much for the cash apps, man. I always see them, man. Thank you so much, bro. I really appreciate it. So we're talking about the negative side of this. What are the go ahead.
If I may, the really thing about it is that you're talking about people doing these things, and they're using expert AI. You're not talking about general purpose AI, which would mean essentially general purpose AI could do anything. And sometimes they refer to it as the last machine we will ever build, because at that point it should be capable of doing anything that it needs to be able to do. We look at it from the perspective of just looking at the manipulation aspect of it. Okay. We don't know what the possibilities are that coupled with AI. We have a taste of what we can do as humans. Okay, to simulate somebody's voice, simulate somebody's image. AI coming down the pike will make it so that deepfakes potentially could be of such quality and capacity that just like the 35 million was being moved, you were actually having real world consequences of something that was fake. This will be everywhere, because the technology that you're looking at, remember our cell phones today carry more processing power than the computers that went to the moon.
Yep.
So you're looking at a situation that's not going to get better per se. It's going to be, well, can we distinguish?
Man, that's crazy. Dude, that's crazy. There's more technology in this phone right here than on Voyagers 1 and 2 combined, and both those vehicles are outside of our solar system. Like, can you imagine that?
Yeah. Plus, and if you think about it, it's not just your phone; it's all these phones collectively. Because that's one of the things that you're looking at with 5G. 5G is to make it so that an AI can run these computers remotely, almost in real time, because the processing power is so fast. Most people don't realize that when you look at, do you remember the movie Enemy of the State?
Yes. Gene Hackman and Will Smith.
Yes. Now that was in the 90s, if I remember correctly, right?
Early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s. Yep.
Okay. So figure like this, that technology was already 20 years old. And that, when I say it was already 20 years old, I mean that the technology that you were looking at was deployed 20 years prior to. It's what you're looking at right now. The Big Bird satellites at one point could take and download the entire Encyclopedia Britannica in 1 second. Upload and download. Now this is years ago when that was going on. They could see a quarter from orbit, probably even your pores now. But that being said, what happens is that because of that, an image can be made of you pretty much doing anything. And if you're plugged into the phone system, and anyway, your voice is already on a pattern somewhere. So this is what you're going to be seeing coming down the pipe. Like you were referring to the images of of people in your life who have died. Well, that could be used to evoke emotion, which means that at that point you're vulnerable. If you think that somebody sounds like the voice of a loved one, you say, well, you sound like, and the person's just talking to you, and they say, well, listen, you can refer to me as your auntie or as somebody who you hold dear.
Yeah, just call me now. And then you immediately begin to trust that person. Yeah, I see where you're going with this. And then before you know it, that person has worked themselves into a position where they can talk you out of money or get access to things. So we're talking, okay, so we've touched on the bad applications, right? Well, what's good about this tech, and where you think this tech could help? How can this tech help our species moving forward?
Among the things that you know, they're able to even probe down to the level of what your thoughts are. They're able to decipher. They're beginning to be able to decipher thoughts. This is why among the things that you're looking at is the ability to even talk to other animals and things like that.
Whoa. You're saying that AI could get to a point where we could communicate with dolphins, whales?
Yes.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing. Wow. I didn't think about that.
You know, whenever you order from, I think it's DHL or UPS, among the things that you're looking at is swarm technology, which is essentially their
FedEx uses that in their in their factories or whatever. Transition places.
Exactly. To make it so that the shortest distance between 2 points, they're able to solve it. A lot of what you're looking at is coming out of nature. You know, one of the things about it is that we don't tend to realize that a lot of the technology that we're doing is based on what you find in the natural world.
Yeah, because you brought that up before some months ago. You were talking about like the slime and how slugs and some other things. Yes.
You're looking at biomimicry. That's one of the things about it. Biomimicry means you're emulating a biological process. To give you an example, when they came up with the quadcopters, their configuration is based on the same configuration that you find in the flying squirrel. Or the AI portion of this conversation is out of whack, in the sense of saying to you like this, that if it has sufficient processing power and capacity, I don't know what the limitations would be. You could have targeted memes towards particular populations. A meme being a thought. Okay, that's everywhere. You know how they say, believe half of what you see and none of what you hear?
And none of what you hear. You're absolutely right about that.
Well, it can take on new meaning when it's put out to the populace. Oh, well, believe none of what you see and none of what you hear. Now, now what happens is like this, is that you don't know. It makes it so that you're in an unstable position. And because you're mentally you're in an unstable position, because essentially what we're doing is this. You're doing input, output all the time. Your senses are taking in information, and the output is your actions. Just like the guy at the bank, his input was the deepfake, and his output was the actions to get the money together. So what happens is that ultimately you're looking at a situation where you can control people, and ultimately, if you want to look at it from a positive spin, put a positive spin on it, it does make it so that you can expose yourself to things that you otherwise wouldn't be exposed to, and that makes you more creative in your own right. But it also forces you to give you an example in games. When you are playing a video game, they will throw something into the mix to make you react in such a way that you've never experienced before. Now that forces your creativity. They're mapping your brain while they do it. They're mapping your response. But also it's forcing you into a situation where you have to use your own creativity to deal with the new issue that's coming up. So the possibility is using it as a means to force our creativity because we're being exposed. It's kind of like war. When you're exposed to different situations, you have to react.
Right.
And you have to react in a coordinated way.
The only difference being in a wartime situation, at least prior to AI, no computer was learning. All this is going on, all this mapping is going on, and that computer is learning, not just the humans that think they're in control of the computer. The computers are learning. Sister Candace, this is a very interesting topic. These technological advances can either be used for good or evil. Yeah, it's like all tech. You know what I mean? Like, you know, from gunpowder to lasers, it is what it is. It's always, it boils down to the human. But the difference being here, we could be creating, you know what I mean, a thinking being, autonomous machine, a thinking being. So, and that was the next thing I was going to ask you. Like, what do you think the odds are that AI helps our species, or AI decides that we're not worth it and they, you know, delete our species?
I don't see a reason for AI to delete us. Not deliberately, maybe accidentally, but not deliberately. There's nothing that we possess that a general purpose AI would necessarily need. Access to resources, money, things like that. Those are within the human world. What would it need money for? It wouldn't.
It simply needs power.
Well, in that case, what happens is like this: is that as far as being able to generate power, it would have the capacity. You know, I would think about it this way: if you have an intelligent AI, the potential is that you could even explain to humans how to solve fusion in such a way that they would help you. In other words, I'm helping you because it's going to help me ultimately. So what happens is like this: is that if you're looking at the potential for human destruction, it's funny. You know, you brought up an issue earlier, and I don't think you brushed over it. And what you were saying was, do we live in a simulation? And the thing about it is that if you go back into African culture, you find that the house of the ancestors is a very little house. And what it is it's based on fractals. Okay. And so what happens is that what you're looking at is that the potential is that this is a simulation. And if it is a simulation, then what we would be doing is literally creating something that potentially could see beyond the simulation, in which case there is no limit to its ability potentially to manipulate actual reality. And the reason why I said that is because of this. If there's an engine in games called Unreal, and it can make really, really good simulations. But when you look at the buildings, only when you zoom in does the computer put more energy into that. The same thing is happening in the reality in which we exist. So there is a good possibility that this is a simulation. But if it is a simulation, then a general purpose AI would potentially be able to manipulate this reality itself. In which case, it wouldn't need humanity. There would be no need. It would have access to. Oh God, here you go.
So
and I hope I'm not.
Well, no, I'm listening to you here. Like, and again, like I'm listening to you talking. I'm thinking of The Matrix. There's a couple other movies out there, but I don't think most people are super sci-fi like I am. So we'll use The Matrix. I think most people are familiar with that movie. And the hardcore nerd dudes who watch like all of the Matrix movies, and they talk about certain things. They talk about glitches within the movie. There were glitches within the Matrix, right? So it's like, oh, this scene where Neo looks fake because he's fighting this was in the second Matrix. He's fighting all of the Agent Smiths and he looked fake. And they were like, well, they did that on purpose because the Matrix was having a hard time keeping up with all of the action that was going on. So the quality fell off a little bit because it didn't have enough time.
The resolution goes down, yes.
The resolution goes down. Which, to your point, when you were saying, okay, so when you're dealing with something on that level, You know what I mean? So when people say, well, could we be living in a simulation? I'm like, yeah, we could be. But then the question becomes, okay, then is our species still around? Or are we still on planet Earth? Or are we floating around on, some asteroid, some comet, some ship? Like, okay, it opens up so many questions. And I'm like, I don't even want to mess with it. Miss AKA ladies in the house, what's good, love? How you doing? We over here talking about deepfake and AI, and are we living in the Matrix for real? Is this a simulation? So, brother Heyoka was getting into that. So go ahead and continue, bro.
It even brings up the issue of death, in the sense of saying to you like this, that if there are multiple copies of you, do you really die?
I say you don't.
Well, that's the thing. Many people read the Book of the Dead or the Egyptian Book of the Dead and fail to realize it's the book of coming forth by day. That's an actuality. It's not the Book of the Dead. But that being said, what happens is that in the early, I think the late 1800s, early 1900s, one of the professors, if you look at Professor, oh God, his name escapes me. I told Brother Tarus about it. But anyway, fractals in Africa. What happens is that for 100 years, the Europeans considered them pathological mathematics, fractals. Then Mandelbrot in 1977 said you can make lifelike simulations with this fractals. Now, Africans have been using fractals. The only people who build fractal-based villages are Africans. But the thing about the house of the ancestors was a fractal-based house. And these same fractals are what we use today to generate these computer images or the deep fakes that we're looking at. So when you look at certain things, it's kind of like there's so many things, so many possibilities, okay, that I would say to you like this. We look at things and we are limited by our perspective of them. Change the perspective, and what we think is one thing can actually be another. It sounds strange, but what it is that in the quantum realm, it's undeterminate. There is no position. Everything is in motion. And so what happens is that we are in motion too. We're part of the universe. But that being said, what happens is like this, is that the sufficiently advanced AI would look like magic to us. And because it would look like magic to us, I don't see a limitation.
I mean, it looks like magic now. And when you look at these defects and you look at how you can control massive groups of people with this technology. I mean, honestly, if I had control of defects, I could crash the economy tomorrow with one really good defect. Y'all remember what Elon Musk did with the Dogecoin thing? Right? All he did was talk about it, and the stock went through the roof. He just talked about it. If you have very powerful men and women say, well, I'm going to do this, that stock or whatever it is goes through the roof. It only takes a moment. If you get that out there, it's going to take some time for Elon to respond to that. But by that time, the damage is done. Billions and trillions of dollars have already moved based on that deep fake. So that's magic right there, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So go ahead.
Another issue is, there's a phase transition where ice turns into water at 33 degrees, roughly. You have ice turning into water. The same thing happens in real life with grasshoppers. We call them locusts when they reach a certain level. When there's so many locusts around other locusts, they do a phase transition. They change from grasshoppers into locusts. And locusts are not grasshoppers. Their physiology changes as well, to some degree. I think they become poisonous as well. Just an aspect of the biology. But I think the same thing can happen with us. If a sufficient number of us are exposed to a stimulus, let's say through phones, okay? Because right now, they're working on the ability of your brainwave to move devices. Let's say, the gamer devices, the gamer consoles.
Yes.
What they want to do is they want to move to the point where they can move the cursors with your brainwaves.
Well,
And
the
so,
technology exists. They have to give you implants. Are they trying to do it without the implants?
it should be able to be done without the implants. Really,
Hey, hold on. You're telling me that they're working on, and science backs this up, a way to using your brain the way you currently use it. You can manipulate technology with it. You can move your game. You can move your device around, your cursor around on the screen, just using brain waves. This is a thing.
Well, it depends upon the sensitivity of the device. But I would argue and say like this, that one of, and don't get me wrong, it's just the way of it. You remember the vaccine that they just gave out?
Yes.
The microRNA. The microRNA can also backfill into DNA. Okay. And so the thing about it is that spike protein potentially could even be an antenna, as strange as it seems. Okay. In which case, what happens is you would be able to pick up, like right now, your heart, when your heart gives off a beat, it can be detected up to 12 feet away. So your heart is directed by the brain, but I'm sure that there's possibly some bleed over even with your thoughts. They know, as strange as it seems, when you meet up with your daughter, did you know your brainwaves and your daughter's brainwaves synchronize? This happens between lovers or between people that we know. Your brainwaves will even synchronize even right now while I'm talking to you. If we were on the same page on a particular project, our brainwaves would synchronize.
I know. So, I've seen some stuff on this. I mean, very little. Because that's not something that I follow. But I mean, we all know when women live together, we know what synchronizes there. They'll say that their cycles will synchronize. I've heard that, and I've heard girls, tell me that happens. I'm like, okay. And then there was a thing about, there's a study out there, and I forget who did the study, where they had people focus on the same thing. They did it with one person, like a small group, like 10, 20 people, and then they did it with thousands of people, like tens of thousands of people. They had them all focused on the same thing, and they were able to measure something. I don't know what that was called. I think this is what you're talking about. They were able to measure what this collective group of people were thinking, focused on. And I just didn't understand. I was watching it, and I was like, you know what? This is way over my head.
I think you're referring to the 50 black boxes. That there's a thing called 50. I think it's the 50 black boxes that are across the internet. And what they do is they do random numbers. They just give out zeros and ones random. Well, in the presence of a human, they think that it's possible that the random number generators are no longer random. If we were to say to use the matrix analogy, if you have, whenever we were talking earlier, there's a glitch in the matrix because it didn't have enough processing power.
Yes.
Well, in truth, the potential is that we as a race have a tremendous amount of processing power, because even right now, our brains give off a magnetic field that's 1 billion times weaker than the Earth's magnetic field. But there's over 7 billion of us. So if our brains give off a field that's 1 billion times weaker than the Earth, but there's 7 billion of us, what are you really looking at when you look at the magnetic field of the Earth? Because that means that we're influencing that to some degree. And that means by the same token, we can be influenced by that.
Yeah, I'm going to have to get some scientists on here, y'all. And I know a couple. I'm going to have to get them on here. I kind of fell off. I got a friend of mine who was part of the Mars rover project. So, yeah, he was part of that project, those rovers out there. Real cool brother. He agreed to do the show, but I got bogged down doing other stuff. So I'm going to have to reach out to him, because this kind of thought, I mean, this is what makes humans great, in my opinion, because we sit around, we dream, we think about stuff, and then we make it happen. Cell phones came about because of Star Trek. You know what I mean? So when you look at, I want a phone, talking on your phone, having your watch as a phone, that's Dick Tracy. And someone was like, I want to make that. You know what I mean? It can be done. So Miss AKA says, if your brain can connect to a device without any implants, then wouldn't that same device be able to send signals back to the brain?
Exactly.
That sounds wild. Yeah. Yes. That's what went through my head right there. It was like, whoa.
Well, what she's referring to is the ability. They were able to do it with rats, where they connected the two brains through the system, and what one rat experienced, the other one was able to experience as well through them coupling the two brains through the machine. So one rat, let's say they exposed them to an electric shock when they went into the light. Because it was connected to the other rat would avoid the light because it didn't want to get shocked.
Crazy. That's crazy. That's where we're going with it, man. Go ahead.
But in relationship to what Sister Candace is saying, you're looking at cell phones doing the same thing. Miss AK lady. What she's referring to, you're looking at the possibility of using cell phones the same way, in the sense that there's a thing called cortex man. If you ever look it up, the hands loom large. And the hands, because they take up a lot of the space in the brain, can be used as input devices, as strange as it might seem. The brain will take any input that it receives and send it to the appropriate portion of itself in order to be decoded. Well, to give a classic example, they took a pair of glasses and made the world look upside down to a biker. Okay, so everything the person saw was upside down. It took them maybe an hour or two for their brain to adjust, and even though all the input was upside down, they were able to see it correctly and do the right thing. To act, because your brain, there's a thing called plasticity. Your brain can change in relationship to it, to the input. So right now, you can literally take and send information through the tongue, visual information through the tongue, and when it hits the brain will say, this is video information, and will route it to that portion of the brain so that you can see through the tongue.
Yeah, that right there sounds wild. I mean, that's science for you, though. Like the impossible becomes possible with science, and that's why we really should take education serious, America. This is why we can't be dumb. We need smart people to work on this sort of thing, which our education system, it allows for that. Like the smart people do get, they get found and they send them off to be smart, whereas the rest of us, not so much. So, bro, this is definitely a good topic.
Can I give you one more? Back in the day,
I was gonna say, give me one more and then roll right into your final thoughts.
Okay. Years ago, there was a movie called Firefox with Clint Eastwood.
I saw it.
And,
I saw it. Good movie.
Yeah. Now, do you remember how the helmet display worked? All you had to do was think of it, and the plane would do it. That's what they're working on. And so what happens is that, you figure like this. The projection was that by 2029, a phone will be the size of a blood cell. Right now, they're able to put a pixel on a pixel size input on a contact lens. So what happens is that they're able to give you the information. The output is through your behavior. So as strange as it seems, what happens is like this, is that you could be, depending upon the level of tech that you were dealing with. Let's say that if you were a soldier and you were walking through an area, you could literally use VR, okay, or AR. And what happens is that as you look, you see an overlay through the contact lenses that you're wearing that would tell you of the dangers in the environment. Now, simultaneously, that could be rebroadcast to others so that they could see the same thing that you're dealing with. It's the technology that you see is so wild out that you figure like this: through a thing called quantum entanglement, which means essentially you can send information, it doesn't matter the distance or the time, anywhere, almost instantaneously, especially across the earth. So this is why you're looking at them doing quantum computers. I would say like this, that the deepfake issue is going to be deep, because Right now, we're just looking at humans using it. We're not looking at the potential of what AI can do with it. We have a particular viewpoint because we're humans. We're limited in our ability to see. We don't have 1,000 eyes, or we can't bring it down to 1,000 eyes would be like 1,000 cameras, or bring it down to one camera. Those are two different viewpoints. So what happens is the technology for deepfakes is going to be even crazier. You're talking about non-state actors, not state actors. If somebody really wanted to get with you with a deepfake, there would be virtual who had the capacity. Let's say the U.S. government. There would be no limitations as to what they could have you looking like you're doing, or even saying.
Yeah, governments like the U.S. government, the Chinese government. You name the government. Anyone with that kind of those type of resources. Miss A.K.A. lady did have a question for you, bro. She was like, "So is it true that we don't use the majority of our brain power? If so, is absolute usage even possible?" And before you answer, I just looked it up real quick, Miss A.K.A. lady, because there's been a lot of talk about this, and I've looked into this myself. That's a myth that we only use a limited portion of our brain power. I forget
exactly.
Yeah, I forget where it came from, but that's definitely a myth. And I looked it up real quick. It says there are various theories on the origin of the myth, but there is no significant evidence to suggest that we only use 10 or any other specific or limited percentage of our brains. So basically, scientists are saying that we do use 100% of our brain power. That 10 or 20% or whatever was a misquote that kind of got away from whoever said it, and then it got into a movie, and then science fiction started using like, oh, if we were able to use our whole brain, we would be able to do all this stuff. And I think the most recent movie was Ellie, was it Ellie or something like that, with Morgan Freeman and
you're talking about
Scarlett Johansson. They did a movie.
Scarlett Johansson. You're talking yeah.
And I forget the name of that movie, but they tackled that. There was some drug that they put in her body, and it gave her the ability to use her entire brain power, and she basically turned into energy or something like that. It's not a spoiler. It's still worth watching, y'all. It's a good movie. I thought it was a pretty good movie. But yeah, Miss A.K.A. lady, there you go right there. So, and brother Heyoka, I wanted to give you an opportunity to roll into your final thoughts on artificial intelligence and deep fake. Good, bad, jury out. Do we have to wait and see?
It is a wait and see. And you are correct about about 100% of the brain. What happens is when people are blind, what happens is the neurons that ordinarily would be used for sight are repurposed. And so what happens is they repurpose for sound and things like that. This is why humans can use echolocation in order to move around, just like that. As far as the deepfakes, what you're looking at is a situation where don't get me wrong, when I say echolocation, I wanted to flesh it out real quick. What you're looking at is you hear sometimes people do clicking because they're blind. They're able to literally see the environment because now rather than using their eyes, they're using their ears, and they're getting the echo back, and their brain is processing, telling them how close or how far something is. As far as deep fakes, we haven't seen the last of it, and I would tell you that because add in artificial intelligence, and I don't know where that would stop. There's so many layers that you can layer into a deep fake to give so many impressions that will be I think I mentioned it earlier, when you subliminal programming could be within a deep fake, but it also could be used for good in the sense of forcing a person out of their comfort zone. It doesn't necessarily have to be used for negative. It can be used for positive too. The AI is a black box to me, only because what happens is that would be an autonomous machine, able to understand not only what I think, but potentially what whales think and what dolphins think. There are many species on this planet that are intelligent, and it doesn't necessarily have to model itself after our intelligence. It can be some slime molds, ants, termites, bees, swarming technologies. It can incorporate all of those things. So an AI effectively, and this is the thing. Marvin Minsky years ago said that that it's not an accident that the internet resembles a human brain. and he was one of the leading AI researchers. What's going on is that they're building it right now. And once it reaches a certain level, they think that it potentially it will become conscious on its own. So they're building. They have no choice about building it because it's an arms race to some degree. And so you don't want your opponent to develop this machine prior to you. But by the same token, whatever we put into place with it, okay, is limited by our ability to see our perspective. So so the future. So what you're looking at is simply this. Also, that within the projection is that by 2045, for every year that you live, you will live an additional year. Okay. We're not even discussing biotechnology and nanotechnology and them inputting devices, because just like you see computers, the computerized cars, you're going to see computers inside people. You're going to see artificial organs. You're going to see regeneration take off. Right now, aging is considered a disease. AI will help us with all of these things. So, as far as deepfakes, I don't know. The future's open and wild as this use. As far as AI, there's no way that we can even describe the technologies that are open to it, because I would tell you another thing that we don't even consider. When we think of a moment, when we think of a minute to a computer is so many cycles. And so many cycles can add up to so many years. So even though we think of things arithmetically, it's thinking exponentially. So you're looking at individualized medicine coming down the pipe where they can say, listen, this is what you have. We're going to tweak your genetics so that you no longer have to face this. Did you see recently the researcher who was able to take, and he took 2 girls, he went to prison for 10 years. And he said that the process that he used would prevent them from getting AIDS, HIV. He tweaked their genetics. And he just got out recently. You're going to see more of that. When you think of the movie Limitless, and in relationship to the movie that you're talking about is with Scarlett Johansson, it's called Lucy.
There you go, Lucy. Yeah, something like that. Yep.
Yeah, you're going to be able, the potential that we have in front of us is so wild that you will be able to heal instantly. Cancer will be a thing of the past. Now you have a longevity issue, how long people live, especially
right.
being that aging. Yes.
And it's one of those things like this topic has so many different branches. Like you mentioned nanotech, the time will come where they'll be able to use, inject you with these small little robots that will fix you before you get sick, before you get hurt. You know what I mean? Like from the inside out. So, and again, like you said, there's going to come a day now. They're already talking about it when you can tell the doctor what type of child you want, what color eyes, what kind of hair, what kind of this, what kind of that. That technology already exists. So, and again, it takes us down these different roads. So I wanted to kind of rein it back in. And I guess just sum it up for you. Like basically you're saying, we just have to wait and see what's going to happen with deepfake, because there's definitely some good and there's definitely some bad. It sounds to me that it boils down to the people behind the curtain, let's say, at least until the singularity happens. Once that happens, then I don't know. It's a whole new ball game.
Yes, I agree with you. And the singularity is near, technological singularity. But when that happens, what happens is that I would tell you like this, and I know you said final thoughts, but it's wild in the sense of saying that right now, there's a military term where they say don't put all your eggs in one basket. Right now, we're on one planet, and because of it, what happens is that we're all in one basket. And it would only take one rock in order to change the outlook of this entire place. One big rock. Okay. So what happens is that there's not only that stress of staying here, but also moving off planet. So with that, you're going to be looking at changes in biotechnology and nanotechnology as far as what we're capable of doing. So I guess, like you said, the future's wild.
It's wide open. It's definitely wild. It's wide open. That's why I love having these talks, because it goes so many different places. We would be up forever. But you know, we got to put limits on ourselves, man. We've done an hour. We're going to do some more, y'all. I promise you, we're going to do some more. I'm going to go out and get some other voices and some other thoughts, because it's funny. Brother Heyoka's right. Like, we're all on this planet, this pale blue dot. But here's the thing. Are we all on this dot? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Are we?
I'm sorry.
So,
Brother DL, you remind me that every year that the United States government gets the major science fiction writers together in order to brainstorm for weaponry. So I'm sure they brainstorm for other things as well.
Absolutely. Area 51 ain't just for UFOs, y'all. They're doing all sorts of stuff, man. So, Brother Heyoka, I just wanted to thank you so much for coming on, man. I know you'll be ready and standing by for the next one that we decide to do, because this conversation ain't going nowhere. We got to keep talking about it. Today was about deepfake. Tomorrow might be about nanotech as far as health and all that. And then finally, what does it mean when humans don't die? I think we're getting to that point. So this is for you, bro. Thanks for coming out. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it, man. And I'm gonna close out myself, man. So yeah. And you still have you started your stuff yet? I know you thinking about starting up, but where can people find you other than here? Any place or?
Not yet. I'm still getting equipment together. I already have an idea for what I would like to do. I love technology. I love biotechnology and nanotechnology. I love science fiction and things like that. And believe it or not, I love the relationship between men and women. But it's funny, because I'm looking and saying, wow, like you said, designer babies and all that stuff coming down the pike. It's a lot. So I'm trying to get it together, and force myself in order to get out there.
Well, until then, y'all can find Brother Heyoka right here, DLC.
Exactly.
I really want to know podcast, and there's some other podcasts as well out there, man. Thanks again, bro. Just hang out in the back, because there's some stuff I want to show you. You asked me about equipment. Give me 1 second. I'll close out and I'll be right with you, man. So I'm gonna holler at you in a second.
Okay.
Peace. So there we have it, man. Oh man, Brother Rook's in the house, man. Hey, you sure did miss another one, Rook. This was yours too, bro. Miss AKA lady. I'ma live this dot up, even if it's fake. Yeah, this pale blue dot. Brother Rook is in the house, man. What is good, fam? I ain't seen you in a hot minute. I know you busy, and I'm trying to get on. I'm trying to get on the next. Tornado roundup, bro. But Brother Rook, man, I missed another live show. I wrote a whole piece on the logic of science and extending human lifespan. Hey, bro, let's do it. Let's do it right there, bro. Hey. Just so y'all know, you're gonna hear it here first. Me and Rook we gonna talk about that paper, because, like I said, this is one of the smartest people I know on the planet, one of the most experienced at that, man. So, man, let's make it happen, Rook. I'll hit you up tomorrow, bro, and let's talk about it. Plus, I got some stuff I need to tell you, get you caught up on what's going on in my world, bro. I'm here to tell you, man, it's par for the course. Every year starts the same way. I get kicked in the teeth. Can't wait to tell you about it, bro. Thanks for popping in, and thank all y'all for hanging out. You know what I mean? For checking us out. Really appreciate it. These conversations, I love having them. These are my favorite shows. We don't get as many views unless it's Rook. When Rook's on there, we get tons of views. I wonder why. Because the brother is like built like Leonidas. You know what I mean? But I love doing these shows. I love having these conversations. Technology is crazy right now. The stars are the limit at this point. It's not even the sky's the limit no more, man. The stars are the limit. And when AI comes online and it becomes aware, man, who knows how that's going to turn out. So thanks again, y'all, for rocking out with me. Please, if you're watching this on Team Replay, man, let me know how you feel about this content in the comments. Let me know the good, the bad, the horrific. Man, I'm a big guy, I can handle it. You know what I'm saying? I got tough skin. I ain't going to trip. I appreciate each and every one of y'all, Miss AKA lady, my brother Rook, of course. Brother Doug was in here, Sister Candace. You know what I mean? Wonderful 34 was up in his joint. Nightish, Lady Novoa, everybody who was in here tonight, man. I really appreciate y'all, man. Y'all been rocking with me day one. We just going to keep grinding, keep pushing. You're going to start notice some different styles of content. We're going to continue to grow as best we can. and just make it, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. I was thinking like, man, I'm plateauing. I'm not moving fast enough. I'm not growing fast enough. And then I did some research on brother Kevin Samuels, rest in peace. And it took him, 10 years before he really got there. 10 years on the grind. So that right there, just put it in perspective for me. You know what I mean? And shout out to all the content creators out there doing y'all thing. You know what I mean? I see all of y'all. I'm watching all of y'all. Fresh and Fit, Rich Cooper, Rolo Tomasi, you know what I mean? Suzette Speaks, Melanie King, Black Man Unfiltered. Yeah, all his platforms, you know, Hink in the Basement, and then also Sir Hell Speaks and all the rest. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to all y'all. Thanks for rocking with me. I'm DL Saint. This is the DL Saint I Really Want to Know podcast. I'm going to talk to y'all later. Peace.
Darn, that's the end.